just like to open up the floor to any questions. We've got 2 or 3 questions already, but if anybody's got any burning questions, just put them in the chat box and we'll run through them. So as long as you're happy to, Matt, let's make a start with the questions. So got one from Rob. So there are a number of concepts you have run through. What would you prioritize over others?
Ooh, okay, no, that's a good question. So yeah, we have gone through quite a lot. I would probably recommend, depending on where you are with your journey and your environment in Azure, to look at application gateway as a first. Any web apps or virtual machines that are open to the internet, because users need to access them, the applications on them. We don't want to leave them open to the internet, so have that application gateway in front of it to give you the web application file functionality, and there's various other benefits as well that comes along with the application gateway, like end-to-end SSL and encryption. Once you've got that in place and you've got the configuration of the app gateway there to send traffic to the back end, you can then look at using things like we did on one of the case studies where we've got the private endpoints and the service endpoints. It's now applications are moving to Azure. It's really easy for things to be exposed to the internet and to be left open, and it's important to have this security in place to prevent that from happening. So look at using application gateway and then look at bringing the traffic away from the public internet using things like service endpoints and private endpoints.
Superb, thank you for that. Moving on to the next question, which is from another Rob. This is around Security Center. This isn't so much a question, but I think maybe you can elaborate on it, Matt.
Yeah.
ASC, Azure Security Center, can be configured as to what it monitors, so you can reduce the cost impact. So there's more of a statement on that slide.
Yeah. So you've got the different subscriptions there for it. Some of them are free resources to scan, and then some of them are paid for that. So yeah, just look at being careful when you're enabling it. I mean, what it has done recently, which is quite good, is when you go to enable Security Center standard, it will give you a breakdown of all the resources that will be applied to it, and then obviously you can choose then as to what the spend's going to be. But before it was kind of let's enable it for the environment, but then you don't, unless you've used the Azure pricing calculator, you then don't know what cost is going to be until you get your first bill, kind of thing. So that's the resource cost when you go to enable it is definitely a welcome add-on.
Brilliant. Okay, perfect. And then we've got a question from Steve this time. How realistic is it for Azure DevOps to be used as the only way to deploy code and infrastructure, as opposed to doing it manually through the portal?
Yeah, no, that's a good question as well. It's I think some of the larger organization enterprises are trying to go down the route of using DevOps only, just because it can be quite insecure to keep giving people permissions. It's very easy to give owner permissions within the subscription to just deploy anything and everything. Just really easy, get going, start deploying stuff. It's how realistic is it? Not all customers are probably going to do it at the moment. It's a bit of a shift, as opposed to deploying it manually through the portal, to relying on code. Code can change, as well as it can take a little bit longer to begin with to start deploying your infrastructure and applications. What I will say is it does give you more benefits than just preventing environment drift, and it will give you things like approval gates. So before that code gets deployed, you can get your manager or a senior developer or engineer within your team to just review what's going to be deployed. And it also gives you good history of the deployments. And another benefit as well is rollbacks as well. So if you've got an easy rollback process, if you've deployed something that breaks the application, you can go back to an earlier release pipeline to get that old code pushed back in. And as well, it's like I say, it's very easy to give too much permissions to people, even though you're not supposed to just give owner to everyone. It can be easy to do that. So just allowing DevOps to push your code into there with service principles is a much more secure way of doing things. But it's at the moment, not everyone's doing it, and I wouldn't blame customers that don't just want to rely on DevOps to do it, because it can be quite a big shift in how you think and how you deploy things. But if you're in a position where you can do everything via DevOps, then it's definitely a good way of going, a good approach to doing it. And you can use languages such as like Terraform, PowerShell, and ARM templates and things like that to configure it as well as deploy it. So it's definitely a good thing to do.
Yeah, perfect. And not just from a security perspective, but I was reading a good article the other day where environment drift can cause development cycles to sort of shift out by 2 or 3 months, and obviously that's a significant period of time when you've got potentially customers looking for new features and functions from your application. So especially if you're an ISV, so it's something that's definitely worth looking into.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. That is actually all of the questions that we have so far, just the 3. Is there any other questions that anyone's got? Any burning questions? Please put them in now. We've obviously moved on to this slide. So the next webinar is the Azure Security of the Azure Security Fundamentals series. Sorry, is Azure Sentinel, and obviously this was requested from you guys, from the feedback that we had after the first webinar of this series. That's on the 27th of August, and that brings back our CTO, Paul Sells, and he's going to run through Azure Sentinel and really giving you a deeper dive into the latest and greatest cloud security technology service from Microsoft. Obviously, if you do have any questions that you think of in relation to today's webinar that you don't have a chance to ask here and now, then please just send us an email at inquiries@clouddirect.net, or you can use the website to obviously go through either the live chat or send us a notification there. Obviously, we're more than happy, and our Azure team, such as Matt himself, are more than happy to spend some time speaking with you with any challenges that you currently got or any questions that you have in relation to Azure or any transformation projects that you're looking to do. I believe there's probably not going to be any more questions, so as I said, just use those avenues to get any additional questions to us. But thanks very much for joining. As I said, just to recap, 27th of August is the next webinar as part of this series. But enjoy the rest of your days. Thanks very much for joining.